What's up? Are you coming or not? We are ready to go. This is going to be amazing. You need to make sure you are in the room at the Owning It and Living It experience November 1st through 3rd in Atlanta, Georgia. Don't worry about next year. Come this year. This year, I am giving away a fully renovated house, and I'm telling you right now that I'm not giving away one next year. Not only will you learn from me, you'll learn from so many amazing people in the industry. Henry Washington, Kendra Barnes, Jackie and Preston Perry, Lecrae Moore, Felipe, Ingrid, Sarah. You gotta be in the room though. This is the perfect conference to merge Black and brown culture with real estate knowledge. We are going to be dancing to Joanna and learning all about real estate. You're gonna actually learn some specific strategies that's gonna help you scale to the next level. Go ahead, go to the link below and grab your ticket today. For me, when I'm in the acquisition phase, it's all hands on deck. This is not the time to be delegating things to everyone else. A person's wealth is determined by their assets, investments, and things that they own. I say true wealth is about how you live it. Your girl is back. Welcome to season 2 of Wealth Within Reach. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Wealth Within Reach. In today's episode, I'm breaking down the basics for you on exactly how this whole real estate investing process goes. I'm going to be breaking down the 3 phases of real estate investing, okay? So we're talking about beginning, the middle, and the exit strategy. All right. Let's check it out. So let me start off with telling you what not to do. What I don't want you to do is get really excited about investing in real estate and then just go and start buying properties. No. The very first thing you need to do is to develop a strategy. You need to develop a strategy and ultimately develop goals. Why are you investing in real estate? What are you working towards? What are your ultimate dreams for your investments? It's important to determine that on the front end. I like to help my clients figure out, okay, what type of life do I want to live? How much does that life cost? And then begin reverse engineering the real estate goals according to where they want to be. Don't just go out there and start buying property, y'all. You need to have a strategy, some goals that you are working towards. If you find yourself asking, okay, what's a good deal? How much do I need to get in cash flow every month? Then that lets me know that you don't have a strategy. And before you do that, it's important to understand the basics of real estate investing. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 3 phases of real estate investing. You have the acquisition phase, you have the stabilization phase, and you have the exit strategy. So I'm going to walk you through all 3. We're going to start with phase 1. Acquisitions. So you're in the beginning, you have determined your goals. In this phase, you're trying to figure out, how do I actually acquire property? There's a lot of questions that you have during this phase. You're trying to figure out, where do I want to purchase a property? You know, what type of property do I want to purchase? How do I get the financing for this property? Who's going to be my real estate agent for this property? These are all the things that you are doing in this phase 1. This is what we call acquisition phase. So you are determining your market. You may be determining your rental strategy. You're beginning to build your team. You're talking to your mentor to kind of refine, to make sure that you're not missing anything. You're doing all of these things in the acquisitions phase. You're building your team. You're finding your property, you're figuring out your financing for the property, and you're bringing it what we call online, all right? You're going through the acquiring process, you're negotiating with the seller. These are some of the things you're doing in this phase. During this phase, it's important to depend on your team. You're heavily involved with your team in this phase. You are working with real estate agent, real estate closing attorneys. You need a home inspector. This is a heavy season where you're going to be more active in your business because you got to make sure that you have the right team in place to help you make sure you buy the right property with the right deal, with the right goals, and the right strategy that satisfy what exactly you're trying to do. So in this acquisition phase, expect to be more involved with the process. This is not a passive part of real estate. This is a way more active part of the process.
Are you tired of wasting so much time pulling data, reviewing comps, and trying to put together the financing to do your next deal? Guess what? You don't have to do all that. Backflip helps you to analyze properties instantly, helps you to pull high quality comps. You can actually apply for loans directly through the app while also choosing your best investment strategy. All you have to do is download the free Backflip app now and go on your way to make smarter, faster, and more profitable decisions today.
For me, when I'm in the acquisition phase, it's all hands on deck. This is not the time to be delegating things to everyone else. Like maybe you have an investor-friendly agent that's sending you deals and they're saying, oh my gosh, this is a great deal. This deal is going to give you $500 in cash flow. And you're like, bet, and you're going to just put an offer on it. No, this is the time where you need to be also trusting, but verifying, running those deals yourself, running those comps, verifying the details that you're giving. You have to be very active in this phase because at the end of the day, your name is going to be signing on the closing documents, not the agent, not the wholesaler, not the home inspector, not the lender, you. And you want to be as active and involved as possible to make sure that you are not missing anything that's going to cost you later. Okay. So just prepare to be involved, to be, looking at loan details, to be asking questions. Prepare in this phase that you're going to need to be more available. Now, phase 2 is what I call the stabilization phase. Okay. This is a phase where if you're like me, it's boring, okay? Just to be honest. But this phase is really important, okay? Don't let it slide, okay? This phase is very important because the stabilization phase is ultimately what helps to determine whether your property ends up making money or not, okay? This is a phase where you are choosing tenants, you are setting up your property management software, or you are choosing a property manager. This is the active process of bringing your property online and taking it from being a more active investment to a passive investment. Even if you are using a midterm rental strategy or a short-term rental strategy, this is the time where, getting everything started is going to be really important. Whether that is buying furniture for your Airbnb, setting up all of your notifications and automations within your app. This is a time that really helps to determine if your future will be more passive or not in real estate. Watch out for this. What I see a lot of times is people, especially like me, who enjoy the acquisition part of like finding deals and negotiating and the high that you get from this. You tend to want to skip the stabilization phase. You tend to want to go from acquisition to stabilization back to acquisition. And then you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I not making no money? I see the deposits coming in, but I see the money constantly going out. This is what happens. That's why it's important to stabilize your property. This is also the time where you're creating systems, where you are hiring your bookkeepers, you're setting up your accounting software, you're setting up your rent collections, you're adding to your calendar Finance Friday. So every Friday you're looking at your expenses. This is the time where you're creating those rhythms that will ultimately, turn into systems within your business so that you'll be able to run things like a well-oiled machine, and you will see that in your profits much later. This is also the time where you're going to start allocating different things like, okay, each month, $50 a month is going to go to a reserve account that my property manager is going to hold for reserve. I'm going to set up an additional savings account for my vacancies, and a certain amount of money is going to go into it every month. This is where that takes place so that in the future, you come back and you have that money available to you. The temptation is to say, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I have this going on. I'll do that later. But I encourage you to just go ahead and take care of it now. Because the more you kick the ball down the road, that's an example of you being reactive instead of proactive, okay? So setting up those maintenance reserves, setting up, your automatic maintenance, finding out what legal compliances you need to have for your property, setting up your LLC, separating your expenses. You don't want to have to wait till later, because what happens is you end up paying twice as much later to do cleanup versus being proactive on the front end. You're already more active now. Finish out the process so then now you can be more passive later. One indication that you truly have stabilized your property is that you don't have to be actively involved on a day-to-day basis. That is an example that things are stabilized. You don't have to be involved. You have peace of mind. You don't have this long running to-do list in the back of your mind of things you need to do. Your mentor has kind of basically giving you the go ahead that you're good to go and buy another property. That's how you know, okay, this property is fully stabilized and now I can move forward to go and buy the next one. This is how you actually end up growing your cash flow at a larger rate than just, constantly getting in that hamster wheel of buying, not having money, buying, not having money. I was there for years. For me, I needed to actually lean on having like a fractional CFO, hiring someone to actually help me manage the finances so that I can get to a place of stabilization quicker, so that now I can go buy more properties, flip more properties with a lot more peace of mind, because I know that things are being taken care of. I have regular meetings and regular systems to make sure that things are being checked on, so that I can continue to know if, okay, these properties are stabilized, this one isn't stabilized. Let me allocate some time in my schedule so we can make sure that we get it back to a stable place. Now, phase 3 is your exit strategy. So with this strategy is, for whatever reason, you are considering selling the property. Maybe it was a flip and you always intended to sell the property. Maybe the cash flow has reduced and you aren't figuring out ways to increase the income. Maybe this is a time where the property is just no longer serving you and you want to consider selling it to cash out and buy something else. Every year I review my property portfolio and determine, is there a property that I want to sell? Is there a property I want to keep? Last year I had a property that I was considering selling. The property taxes increased quite a bit. We had been trying to lease the property out and we weren't able to get the property taxes reduced. With the existing property taxes and having a hard time finding a tenant, and even when we found a tenant, the cash flow was still very low, even though the equity was very high. We decided to sell that property, cash out, and invest in another asset, okay? And so during that exit phase, you are focusing on, should I keep, should I sell? If I sell, what am I gonna do with those funds, okay? So let me recap. You have 3 phases. You have the acquisition phase, you have your stabilization phase, and you have your exit strategy. I'm curious to know, what phase are you guys in right now with your rental properties? I hope this episode was helpful to you. Let's continue the conversation in my Facebook group. I want to know, what phase are you in and what moves are you thinking about making in your rental business? Go to the link in the bio and you can join my Facebook group and let's get started. If you have a clear strategy, then you really are setting yourself up for long-term success. All right, we'll dive a little bit deeper into more phases in our upcoming. Hey friend, have you been enjoying this podcast and you're like, okay, Erica, how can I connect with you and other of your amazing guests that are on the podcast? You can do that within the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. I have the Owning It and Living It Facebook group to help to foster community with other like-minded real estate investors. Folks are sharing advice, I'm sharing tips, and we're fostering community so we can help take our real estate investments to the next level. If you are ready to do that, I want you to join the Owning It and Living It Facebook group. You can go to the link in the bio to join today.